You're trying to turn them into good, nice people.
I imagine she is testing the limits to see how much control she can have. How do we help her want to listen?
They never really want to listen.
They have been really pushing boundaries, lots of fighting, hitting meltdowns.
They don't need many therapy sessions. It's ridiculous. They're about actions. They're not about words. That's your world, not hers. They're not listening. They might even parrot you. Yes, mommy, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then she just does it again. You're like, what the heck?
How have you seen parents stay calm?
When it starts to work. Once you start seeing results, the calm happens. You got to be willing to go through the storm. Everyone wants the rainbow. And I say, you got to go through a storm first. I don't want the fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums. Well, then I can't help you. Welcome to the Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at Bratbusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Hi, this is just a disclaimer. We were going to throw out this episode because my daughter's energy is so low. What happened is, on this episode, we were discussing business before we recorded the podcast, and she's still got her business cap on. She just can't let go of this problem that we were dealing with. So that's why she looked so distracted. I didn't want to toss this episode because I still thought it was good. And we agreed the information in there is still of value. But anyway, that's her energy level. Why it looks so low. It's just, she's just distracted. So anyway, here we go. Okay, sweetie, what is today's parenting topic? And I never know. The last one, she just said to me, I won't mention what it is in case they come out of order, but the last one that we just filmed, she said, oh, I thought that was going to be boring, and it was a really good one. So she can't always predict which ones are going to get me going and which ones are not. So what is today's topic? Fingers crossed.
Well, I hope it wasn't boring. We'll see.
No, it was good. I could tell it was a good one.
I don't think you're going to love this one.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not always the case. So
okay, it's staying calm when kids test your patience.
Ugh.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, let's start out. Why do kids push your buttons sometimes?
Because they can. They like the reaction. Think of how powerful that is. You can actually control an adult's emotions. All you have to do is push a button. It's a power trip. That's all it is. It's exciting for them. If they don't get your emotions in other ways as much. Like, are you really having fun playing with your kids? You get all emotional and laugh a lot with them, they're less likely to want to get you angry because they like those emotions. The kids who push the buttons are the most are the ones who get the least good emotions out of their parents. Did that make any sense?
That did, but
they'll take any heightened emotion. If they're not getting the laugh, they'll get the anger. They like that. It's powerful. It's powerful to get strong emotions from your parent, whether they're good or bad. There you go. That's a better way of putting it. Took me a while to get around to that.
Now, if you're not naturally someone who is good at playing with kids, like, how do you even start going about that?
You watch how they play and join in. And you can look at all sorts of things online, like how you play with toddlers. Look at videos. Get down on their level, sing. You know what I was doing with my granddaughter the other day? She, aside from reading books, the exact same books for hours on end, she loves books. So I did buy another book. Oh, God, I got to mix it up. If I read, what was the one that, what was it? Grumpy Monkey. Oh, God. And One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. That was her favorite the other day. It was killing me. Anyway, I lost my point. What was I saying? I did. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. It's not the least bit exciting, but I was doing it, and she's only 14 months, and every time she wanted me to sing that, she would cock her head to the side. Because when I'm doing the spout, I would cock my head to the side when I poured out the tea. So she would do that. Very hard to say no to a 14-month-old that you only see once a week. I see her all day, but I only basically see her once a week. And every time she cocks her head to the side, she gets, I'm a little teapot. They love being able to control you any way they can. She loved it when she could control grandma to sing that song every single time she cocked her head. Doesn't mean you should be doing that, but as a grandmother, that's what we do. So they love controlling you. So that's why they do that. But yeah, if it's not natural, doesn't come naturally to you, you can just sing, I'm a little teapot. You can play video games. You can go to the park and swing with them. When they are laughing in your presence, you tend to start enjoying yourself. Maybe not when they're 2, but by the time they're 4, they usually get a little bit more interesting. Go to play centers. If it doesn't come naturally, watch how they play and join in. If they're having a great time, you are more likely to get engaged.
Okay.
It doesn't come naturally. It always came naturally to me. I'll admit that. Okay, I have a lot of little kid in me, so it always came naturally to me. So, but I know it's harder for a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that you can't be as engaging. I'll give you a good example of this. One of my clients a few years ago, she said, I just am not one to get on the floor and play with my kids. But what she was really good at, took us a while to figure this out. And I said, well, and she just had a real aversion to getting on the floor and playing with her kids. So, and what she became really good at, she said, I said, what do you like? And she goes, well, in my private life, like when I'm not mothering and working, she loves to write stories. So I said, well, why don't you start writing story or telling stories or writing stories about your kids and including them, making them the main character. She ended up getting really connected with her kids and having a blast with them. And she was just telling stories with them included. And that was how she connected. So you don't have to be running around the house with underpants on your head, chasing the kids like I did. You can just be telling stories or just swinging beside them. So there's all different ways of connecting. You don't have to do my style. You can find your own style. You will not be a goofy mother like I was. It's not in your nature. I'm talking to my daughter here. It's not in her nature, but she'll be fantastic in the kitchen, doing anything like around cooking. That'll be her thing. She's very good at that sort, and I wasn't. So she'll have her own strengths. We all are different personalities. It doesn't mean that you can't connect and bond with kids.
I agree. I think I'll be very different in that way.
But what you'll be very good at is you're very good at scheduling and planning. You'll have your kids in tons of activities. She'll be driving them. Well, I did that too. You'll be driving them all over the place. And that's another thing you'll be really good at. So everyone's different. Find a way to connect, though, in their world.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into the questions.
Sure.
First question is Hillary from the United States. My daughter turned 3 this month, and my son turns 1 in April. There are many times my daughter will openly defy us when we ask her to do things or tell her something like, stop hitting her brother. I imagine she is testing the limits to see how much control she can have. How do we help her want to listen?
Well, they never really want to listen. They just don't want a consequence. So parents go at this wrong all the time. How do we get our kids to listen? No, you just get them to avoid the bad behavior because they don't want the consequence attached to it. That's how we all learn. That's why we pay our taxes. Do we pay our taxes because we know we should or because we know we might go to jail if we don't? You know what I mean? It's consequences that keep the world running. If we don't pay our rent, we get kicked out. If we don't pay for our groceries, we get grabbed as we leave with all the free groceries we're trying to run away with. So don't focus on trying to get her to want to do stuff. Focus on getting her to stop doing bad stuff because of the consequence. Put on the behavior board. It's completely free. Her rule is no hitting. Every time she hits, there's a consequence. A good one might be that the little brother gets to play with her favorite toy for a whole 10 minutes with you. She cannot join in. So if she's mean to someone, she has to do something nice for him. And she will hate that. And that's a good thing. She'll eventually learn. If I hit, something I don't like will happen. That's what stops all of us. It's not that kids don't understand right from wrong. There's just not a big enough incentive to do right and not enough incentive to not do wrong.
Now, something I want to bring up is you talk a lot about like the consequences or how the world works. What about awards? Like people get awards all the time.
And that's okay too, but that's not what makes the world go round. It's not about awards. It's okay. In professional sports it is because you make more money if you win, right? So it's like that. And there's a lot of pride in some people winning stuff, so that's a little bit different. But that's not really what builds self-esteem as much as just being a good person. Oh God, that's a big conversation though. Be more specific and I'll come up with something. Like it's too broad. I can't cover it all.
So if you are, let's approach it at work. So at work, you might get a mention in the newsletter at work or something like if you do well. And like there is some, like I feel like some people.
Oh, so you're working on the reward chart idea, mm-hmm. The incentives, the awards. Okay, that's a little bit different. And that works more with adults. Not with kids. They don't care as much about adulation as they do about not getting in trouble. They're a little bit different that way. So, and I can't stand reward charts. Reward charts tell a child, by the way, you're normally rotten. If you should happen to do something good, you'll get a gold star. So that, because it's used with behavior. Also, when we're dealing with adults, we're not usually dealing with behavior. So there's a difference there. It's just different. Like, it's not like, oh, you were really nice today. Here's a cash advance or whatever. It's usually done through accomplishments, and they will get those awards and everything outside of home. They'll get them in school if they want to get an A in something. They have to work to get that. They have to earn to get it. But no, this is a little bit different. It's behavior oriented.
Okay, because the rules on the board are never be nice. So it's not like...
It's ridiculous. Be nice. It's too broad. It's too... Yeah, it's in the attitude department. I could go on and on and on with this one. I could feel it. Let's go to another question, and stuff will come up through the questions, because the more targeted it is, I think, is the more effective the result. Like, what I mean is it'll sink in better as a listener, rather than me just going on about the psychology behind all this.
I'm going to disagree, because I think a lot of people say that they want to hear more of the psychology behind it.
The psychology. Okay, now lay it out for me. The psychology behind rewards and why awards work well. That awards do not work well to get good behavior. They work well, and they can get them in school. It's not personal in school. At home, it's personal. You're trying to turn them into good, nice people. The rest of the world, not so much. That's not their job. Your job is to turn your kids into good, nice people. So if they make a mistake at home, it's usually behavior oriented. If they make a mistake at home, there's a consequence. But I say the reward, my kids, I remember once my son said to me, do you know, if my friend does their chores, they get a gold star or something, or they get a reward for doing something, which I just consider normal. And then I'd say, well, your reward is having me as a mother. So he never asked again. I said, like, I made sure their home life was really fun. So that was the sort of the reward, is you have a happy home life. There was no yelling or anything. So, but the behavior is something that you want to address through consequences. Awards are just sort of icing on the cake. It doesn't have much to do with their self-esteem.
Is the idea that it's not like you get an award for being the best friend or an award for...
Yeah, you're not giving people awards for being nice, usually. It's usually an accomplishment, something you've worked towards, not your basic personality. You don't usually get awards for your basic, except I guess Miss America used to get Miss Congeniality. That's about the only award I could think of that's based on personality. You see, we're working on their personality here as a parent.
Okay.
So I don't give rewards for being nice, because that's my baseline expectation. Like, you were really nice today, so you're going to get a gold star. What a patronizing thing to say. Imagine if your spouse said that. You were really nice today. I'm going to buy you dessert tonight or something. What the heck was I yesterday? It's an insult. It's actually an insult.
We get to the next question? Or do you want to go on?
Yeah, no,
this?
I'm thinking, God, it's such a big one. I'll leave it there for now. Did I go on about that enough? Yeah. It's just such a huge one. It's about self-esteem, pride, and yeah, that's what you're building. That's your job.
I just want to start touching on these topics more, because this is the space to do it, right? Like the podcast.
Yeah, we can go on a bit. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Next question is Jamie from the United States. I have a 24-month-old boy who hits, but not even when he's angry. It's as if he thinks it's a game. Nothing we have tried will help him to stop. He just thinks everything we say or do is funny when we try and correct the behavior.
Well, he doesn't think it's funny. He does that laugh. That kind of, it's not a real laugh. It's not a belly laugh usually. So unless you play it up, oh, that hurt. So I'm assuming you're not doing that. So 24 months old, between the ages of 16 to 35 months, you just use consistent corrective action. Every time he hits, you say no and you hold that hand, and then you just ignore after that. But don't let the consecutive hits happen. So you prevent the future hits if you know they're coming. So you keep holding him, or when you see it coming, you grab his hand, you say no. And then make sure you're playing with him too. If that's where he's getting his excitement, playing, if that's the only way he's connecting with you, he's going to keep doing it. Make sure you play in his world. Make sure you connect a lot. And if he hits while you're playing, get up and leave right away. Fast. You say no, and you stand up and walk away. He'll learn eventually, especially if the fun stops. But that's not real laughter, by the way. It's just sort of an evil. It's just different. He's not really happy when he's doing it. He's playing you. He's testing you.
I feel like evil's a bold word.
It's a pretty good word. It's pretty good.
Well, no,
Evil.
I'm saying about a toddler.
You know what I'm saying.
I know.
Yeah, that little evil laugh.
Okay. We have Caden from Ireland. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I have twin boys.
Yes, it's pronounced Ireland. Oh, sorry.
Very funny.
Thank you.
I have twin boys ages 2 years and 9 months. Last number of weeks, they have been really pushing boundaries, lots of fighting, hitting meltdowns. We moved recently as we were living with family and thought this would improve because they would now have their own space and their own room. I made the room up nice with some small toys in there, nothing too stimulating, and each morning they were thrown all over the room, out the door, down the stairs, so we removed the toys. I need guidance on how to implement a consequence, like if one is hitting the other or one is jumping on the couch or climbing the dresser in their room. Anything I say, they laugh back, and it bounces from one twin to the other, so they both be laughing. They used to be well-behaved kids, and nothing major has changed. They're in creche there, and they enjoy it, but I work there also, so they know I'm around. I know they're toddlers, and this behavior is expected, but if I don't correct it, I know it'll escalate, and me and my partner are really struggling with it all.
Okay, but if anyone doesn't know, creche is usually daycare. Because in Australia we had creche too. Anyway. Yeah, they're tag teaming, and I wonder what they're like at creche. Like, what do the teachers say? That would really help me out. So in other words, do they know how to be good and they're just doing it for you? Okay, so here's what I do. Every single time one hits the other, you say no, and you take a toy and give it to the victim. But I'm assuming they're going back and forth. Separate them for a while. If they are continually fighting and you can't be right there, then you just say, okay, you come with me, and you take one in the kitchen with you and leave the other one in the other room if possible. And then if they fight again, you separate them again. It can just become a game with them, but they are really little. They will eventually learn. They'll be 3 soon. When they turn 3, don't do it now. You have to wait till they're 36 months. So what are they? 2 years and 9 months. Yeah, that'll be soon. So you put down no hitting. Don't put down no fighting. It's too big. It could be yelling, screaming. Just put down no hitting, and then you deal with it that way. But in the meantime, it's physical, consistent corrective actions. Remove them from the fun, or the fun from them, or separate them from each other temporarily. It's not easy, by the way, especially with twins. They're usually equally matched. And often there is one that instigates more than the other. And you said something about, I thought she said they throw the toys all over the place. Get a toy rotation system in place so you don't have very many toys to throw around. I have videos on that. Hey, toy rotation system just means you put most of the toys away and you just pull out 5 at a time maybe, and then every week you change them around. And if they're fighting over something, put it away.
Okay. The next question is Elizabeth from the United States. How do you get your child to hold your hand while walking in busy areas? Parking, sidewalk. We don't want to use a harness.
Well, then I can't help you. You have to use a harness. You have to. If you won't hold my hand, you're going to be on a leash, and that's it. It's a safety thing. Do you not want to use seatbelts in the car either? You don't like restraining your kids? It's safety, life and death. So I can't help you if you're not willing to strap your kids into a leash.
Okay. The next one is Heather from the United States. We have an almost 2-year-old. Her tantrums are slowly driving me bonkers. I know they're part of developing their tumbleweed brains, but my goodness. There was something else there, but I'll just put my goodness.
Good grief. Oh, sugar.
I've tried ignoring her while being physically present. I've tried talking to her when she calms down, but it instantly makes her mad again. We've tried diverting her attention. For example, we went on a family run and put her in the baby jogger, and she screamed for 30 minutes. We tried me running in front of it, which made it worse. We tried dad running in front. We tried completely ignoring the screaming and interacting when she would stop. She finally stopped when she saw her house. Advice for tantrums that last this long, and what would you have done if you were in this situation?
Well, you've already been feeding them. That's why they're lasting so long. But also, they're just 2. She's just learning how to control you. But you completely ignore tantrums. So if they're screaming, it's like you're filing your nails. You're waiting for a bus to come by, whatever. You completely ignore a tantrum. When it's over, you say, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book? If they start up again, ignore again. Tantrum is done to get attention, to get you riled up. That's why they do it. And a tantrum is not emotions. It's not emotions and feelings. It's a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way, which in her case is not being able to control you. She didn't want to be in the stroller while you're running, so she got mad. 30 minutes is nothing. I've heard kids go for hours, by the way. So yeah, just start ignoring the tantrums. Make sure they never, ever work. They will eventually diminish in frequency, intensity, and duration. It's not going to happen overnight. but it's going to take some time. And then as soon as she's finished, but you don't discuss it. You said you were discussing it. Why? They don't need many therapy sessions. It's ridiculous. Yeah, just deal with it. They're about actions. They're not about words. That's your world, not hers. They're not listening. It goes in one ear and out the other. They might even parrot you. Yes, mommy, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then she just does it again. You're like, what the heck? Because she's 2. Words are not her world. Actions are her world. Being ignored is her world. She gets that. And then as soon as she stops tantruming, she'll eventually learn, wait a minute, while I'm tantruming, I get nothing. As soon as I shut up, all of a sudden I get attention. So she'll put it together eventually.
Talk about the idea of like the ignoring, because
I already said you're not ignoring feelings or emotions. You're ignoring a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. You're ignoring the anger that is ridiculous. They're not angry over not being fed or clothed, a need. They're angry over a want. You do not need to validate that. If you validate it, you're condoning it, and you'll get more of it. Any discussion around that is validating it.
Now I understand that there's obviously so many ways to approach this, and I know that you often talk about when parents ask how to stay calm in these moments, that you always just say, well, that's just your own personal challenge. Okay, how have you seen parents stay calm?
When it starts to work. It's not until you start seeing results. It's like, when does dieting get easier? When does working out get easier? When you start seeing results. The initial stage is hell. You just have to fake it till you make it. Once you start seeing results, the calm happens. Oh, I can't tell you how many clients I've talked to. I know when they turn up for the session that they get it. I know right away their facial expressions. Plus, they talk nonstop. They don't even let me. They can't even let me get a word in. They're telling me all the ways they get it. Oh, I get it. I finally get it. I just said, when they were carrying on like idiots, I just said whatever, and they just stopped. And they're just telling me all the success they've had. They say, this is easy, and then they'll actually say, this is easy, because they're seeing results. So the hard part is waiting for those first results. Have faith. I've been doing this forever. I've seen thousands of parents get results, but that is your personal challenge. So you just have to grit your teeth until you start seeing some results, and then it gets easier. By the way, not all parents say this is easy. They say it's actually been hell, but it's getting easier. But some parents will say, actually, this is easy. Like controlling themselves is easy. And once they get control of themselves, the kids' behavior changes a lot because they see the shift in their parents and they're happier. Kids are happier when they've got a calm leader.
You talk a lot about the idea of the short-term pain, long-term gain.
Well, a lot of parents do short-term gain for long-term pain. So they will discuss all this stuff and they'll try and calm down a tantrum, but you're making it worse in the long run. I do short-term pain for long-term gain. And this kind of stuff, everything I teach, I teach parent-child relationships, how to connect with your kids, deal with bad behavior, and then focus on the good kid. That'll last you right through the teen years. It's short-term pain, though, but long-term gain. You got to be willing to go through the storm. Everyone wants the rainbow. And I say, you got to go through a storm first. I don't want the fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums. Well, then I can't help you. That's the transfer over from your pleaser parent or authority style parenting to the leader parent. That is you transforming into a different kind of parent. Their scenes, fits, meltdowns, and tantrums are them fighting back. Once you're a leader, they don't fight because they are happier. And so are you. And you stop yelling and everything gets easier.
But you're saying it takes time.
Yes. And I always say 3 to 6 weeks before you start seeing results, 3 to 6 months before it's cemented, depending on the age.
Okay. When you say depending on the age, is it easier or harder?
Well, of course, the older they are, the longer you've been that other type of parent, the harder it's going to be. I thought you were going to challenge me on my age. Doesn't matter what age you are as a parent.
No, I was not going to challenge you on that one.
I would have done that because I would have thought that would be funny, but
sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right.
Okay. So we have Stephanie from the United States. My son is 6. He is constantly giving me an attitude. I've tried to remain calm and neutral because I haven't always. I've tried to remain neutral because I haven't always. What do you recommend I do for this? Consequences or just ignoring the attitude? Should I say anything when he answers me with that tone?
Well, an attitude is a tell. It means he doesn't respect you. Kids who respect their parents would be embarrassed to have an attitude. It would just feel wrong. Because have you ever had anyone that you look up to, a coach, a teacher, a grandparent, that are like a leader? They make you feel good about yourself. How do you treat that person? Do you have attitude? No. Work on your leadership skills. Start with the free behavior board and get a rule and a consequence for everyone in the family over 3, like 3 and over. And start there. You'll start to see. It'll just start to make sense after a while. So start with the behavior board. Your consequences, by the way, are the bonding with the kid. So let's say your rule is no yelling. Then your consequence is you have to play, I don't know, something that the kid loves that you hate and they know it. Could just be shooting hoops for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever. So, but yeah, check it out. It just means he doesn't respect you. It's not him. You haven't earned respect yet. You're not a leader. Everyone blames, they all want to fix their kids. It has nothing to do with them. It's you. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of kids, toddlers, teenagers, and I never worked with easy kids. They always handed me the difficult ones because I was a behavioral mentor. So I always managed to get respect. Was it me or was it them? It's always you. Children instinctively look for a calm leader and someone that makes them feel good. So he's just begging for you to be a leader. All children need, crave, and want leadership. They just don't ask for it. They're fighting you, and their attitude is them letting you know, I need you to be a leader here. That's their way of asking you to be a leader. Every teenager I've ever worked with has said this in one way or another, different words, is I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. They equate discipline with love. Interesting, eh? One even said to me that my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. He was in a lot of trouble. Wow, my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. So love your kid enough to be a leader for him. Start with the free behavior board. You might want to look into the boot camp course, or you can look into coaching if you want to hire me.
Next question.
Yes.
It's actually the last one on this. So
Okay.
Katie from the United States. How to stop older brother who's 5 antagonizing their little brother who's 3. So for example, haha, you have to nap and I don't.
Oh, that's an easy one. No teasing your younger brother. If you do, he gets your favorite toy for 30 minutes. Oh, they hate that. They hate it. So that's an easy one because they're so close in age, right? Like it wouldn't work if the little one was 1 so much, but you know what I mean. They're very close in age. So yeah, just say, okay, you tease him. And then you also write down the behavior, use the behavior board, put down no teasing your little brother. And then you put in brackets, I will decide when that has happened. So they can't argue it. They will anyway, but don't get into the conversation. But I wasn't teasing him. Anyway, the consequence is, here's your favorite toy. He gets to play with it now for 30 minutes. See how I just continued? I didn't answer that. But I wasn't teasing him. Yeah, anyway, here's your favorite toy, and you can play with the younger brother. Don't let the older one join in for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever works for your family. So yeah. So in other words, if they tease someone, they have to do something nice for them.
Making amends.
Making amends. Yeah. He's going to fight you on that, but that's good. That means that he's realizing things are changing, that you're actually in charge. And that maybe it isn't a good thing to tease your younger brother because mom knows what to do or dad knows what to do. Another thing with that is sometimes if the younger one teases it's never the younger one's toy going to the older one. The older one doesn't usually want it, but it's usually the older one teasing the younger one or hitting the younger one, whatever. If the younger one teases them back, right? Ha ha, I got your toy. Then you say, okay, no one gets it for 30 minutes. And you tell them that ahead of time. If you tease the older brother about getting his toy, sometimes I will allow that in coaching, sometimes because it just depends on the situation, because I want the older brother to understand what it feels like to be teased. So sometimes I will, but I don't recommend you do that. You use that with caution. So. But I will sometimes recommend that. Depends on the family dynamic.
Okay. That was it for questions.
That was it. Okay. I always forget what the topic is
Every
time.
Staying calm when kids test your patience.
And that is, I would say, one of my biggest challenges in coaching is helping the parents through their own emotions, which I can't do. I just say, I'm sorry, but that is your challenge with this. It's like dieting or working out. I can give you a program. I'm not professionally qualified, but it's just an example here. I can give you a program, but I can't make you follow it. So and it does get easier once you start to see results. It's like that. So you have to put in the initial pain, short-term pain for long-term gain, and trust the process. And by the way, most parents in coaching do quite well. And one of the reasons is they've put a lot of money into making this happen. So they're going to make it happen. So just pretend that you've paid me a lot of money when you do that free behavior board and say, I'm just going to commit to it. And so, yeah, that is why a lot of coaching parents, it's not just the information I give them, it's the financial commitment. One of them said that. It said, we knew if we put in all that money that we'd do it. So it's just a matter, and they said, really, we already knew a lot of this anyway, but we just couldn't get ourselves to do it. So I've actually had clients say that to me. So, but yeah, just commit to it. Just believe in the process. And once you start seeing results, it gets easier. It gets actually fun, some parents have said. I love this because now I know what to do and I know I can do it.
It's rewarding, almost like a reward chart.
It is like it. They get a gold star.
Do you have anything else to add to that part, or?
To what, the reward part?
Yeah, the rewards.
The rewards. Well, rewards are overrated, and so is praise. It's okay. It's like a little bonus thing, but don't expect that to change any behavior. That's the bottom line. It's the consequences that change the behavior. If, let's say, the police were giving you rewards for not speeding, like gold stars for not speeding, or they're giving you consequences for speeding, which one would work better? I don't think that was a very good analogy, was it? Did that one make any sense?
No, that one did not land for me.
That didn't land for me either. Never mind. Just leave it in because people know I'm a doofus when it comes to analogies. Anyway, so yeah, it's the rewards are not what gets the good behavior. It's the consequences. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again with another surprise topic that my daughter would know about, but I never know what's coming up. So happy parenting. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.